Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Sam with Historic Travels, and I'd like to take a quick moment to welcome all my new subscribers and thank everybody who's been leaving me comments and messages down below. Guys, the support you're giving for this channel is absolutely incredible, so everybody, please keep up the good work. And everybody who's been leaving me awesome video ideas, please keep that going as well, because some of the ideas that I'm getting in the comment section are absolutely unbelievable, and I'll try to cover as many topics as I can. So everybody, thank you very much. Okay, so on to today's video. This video is going to be a little bit different. The idea from this video came from my live stream and several of my comments down below asking me what my opinion is of a Titanic game called Titanic VR. And essentially what it is, it's a virtual reality game where you can actually dive the Titanic wreck. And I believe it's on computer and PSVR. Now, I actually have a PlayStation VR, so I am actually going to try to play the Titanic VR game for you guys and just kind of give you my general opinion of it and what do I think of it as being, so into Titanic as I am. Now, this is not going to be a full review of the game. This is not a gaming channel. This is just going to be me playing the game for a couple of minutes, exploring the wreck, and giving you all my impressions and what I think of it. And yeah, and if you all like this content, let me know down below if you'd like to see some more stuff like this in the future. All right, everybody, well, hey, let's get into it. All right, well, hey, without any further ado, let's take a look at PlayStation VR, or Titanic VR. Okay, so this is the home menu to the Titanic VR game, and as you can see, as I turn my head in real life, that's what is turning the camera around inside of the game. So in order to select the sandbox mode and explore the wreck, I look at it with my eyes, and then select it with my controller. Okay, so first impressions, this is actually pretty cool. As soon as the game loads up, I'm inside of a submarine at the bottom of the ocean, about 100, 200 meters away from the actual wreck of the Titanic. And I gotta say, first impressions, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, look how detailed the submarine is. It really gives that sensation that you're inside of a submersible at the bottom of the ocean. And remember how I told you that you actually look around inside of the game with your head and you look around like you really would in real life? So this is what I look like in the real world while I'm looking around inside of my submarine getting ready to go explore the Titanic. Once you get used to the controls and get the submarine going, it doesn't take very long to find the Titanic. And once you first come up on the ship and you see it come out of the darkness, you get it's an unbelievable feeling. You get that sense or that sensation as to what it would be like to be a submersible pilot and actually see the Titanic on the ocean floor. And as you can see right here, I'm actually, without even realizing it, leaning forward to try to get a better look out the window. I mean, for a complete moment, you actually forget that it's a VR game. You actually feel like you're at the Titanic inside of a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. Very, very cool feeling. 10 out of 10 for presentation here. But you see, as I'm exploring the wreck, I noticed my first inconsistency with how the wreck is today. You see the crow's nest, that's what I'm passing right now. The entire crow's nest structure on the wreck is gone today. Now, if this was an older model that they used for how the Titanic would have looked back in the 80s, the crow's nest being here would be accurate. But if they were going for how the Titanic looks today, the crow's nest mass is still there, but the actual crow's nest itself is not on the wreck anymore. Now this was a pretty cool moment. When I was climbing up near the bow of the Titanic and I was coming up on the bridge and seeing the Titanic's bridge, this is pretty accurate to how the actual bridge on the ship looks today. You can see the mechanism that held the ship's wheel. And then what I thought was super cool was I could see these plaques at the bottom of the ocean. So at this point I triggered the game's ROV. So you can actually control a tiny remote control submersible to actually explore the Titanic wreck in further detail. And yes, go inside the ship if you want. There's my submarine, I'm looking back at it. So I head over to check out the ship's mechanism, and I notice that there are these little plaques by where the ship's wheel used to be. And these are actually on the wreck, but on the real wreck, they're dedications to the wreck itself in the story of Titanic. In the game, they're actually like little Easter eggs or credits to the people who actually developed the game, which I thought was pretty cool. Once I finished looking around at the ship's bridge, I wanted to go to the grand staircase and take a look inside the ship to see how accurate it was on the inside. So I traveled along the boat deck, looked down at the promenade deck, and honestly, just traveling along the boat deck like this in a submersible, it was a really, really cool experience. And the atmosphere playing this game in VR, as I said before, you really do feel like you're at the wreck of the Titanic. That thud you heard was me landing my sub on the deck of the Titanic. So now I'm at the grand staircase, so at this time I trigger the ROV again, and I'm controlling the little remote control submersible, and now I'm going to head inside of the Titanic through the grand staircase and see how accurate the ship looks from the inside. As I first began to go down inside of the wreck of the Titanic, I was looking for two things in particular to try to gauge how accurate this game was. The first thing I was looking for was the D-deck gangway door. This was a massive door on the side of Titanic's hull, and it was opened up during the sinking as a way to let passengers go through it to get into lifeboats. However, this door was never used and it was left open, which meant when the water actually got to the door, which you can see in the right side of this picture, see that door right there just touching the water? That door was left open throughout the sinking, which allowed a lot more water to get inside the Titanic. So I was very curious if I could find this open gangway door inside the Titanic VR wreck simulator. And surprise, surprise, when I found the room where the door was opened up, the door was completely closed in the game. I mean, maybe I am expecting too much, but where I am a big Titanic guy and I'm studied the ship for so long, it would have been nice if these little details would have been added to the game. The next room I wanted to try to access was Titanic's first class dining room. This is where all the first class passengers would have met up to have meals while they were sailing on board the Titanic. I found the door leading to the first class dining room, and there are these archways right beside the door that looked like it'd be an easy way to go into that room and look around, and I hit an invisible barrier that prevented me from going into that room. Now, me personally, whenever I'm playing a game, I really hate coming across invisible barriers. I feel like if they did not create that room for this game, they should have blocked it off by some other means. But I mean, I know I'm being too picky and too hard on this game. So overall, my impressions of it, I think it's really, really cool for what it is. But keep in mind that when you play this, it is not a 100% accurate recreation of the Titanic's interior. However, if you're not super picky on the details, it is still a really, really cool way to simulate exploring the actual wreck of the Titanic. Although there was two areas inside the D-deck room that I really do want to give them praise on for nailing the details. You see this pillar right here that I'm looking at, and you see these little patterns in it? This is 100% accurate to what is actually on the Titanic, so good job for that. And the second thing I noticed was these lead glass windows that are actually in the D-deck reception room. These look pretty good as well. So these two little details that I found in here are really, really accurate, so they have my praise for nailing those details. So yeah, in conclusion, I think the Titanic VR game is really cool for what it is. It's definitely a very, very unique concept, and it's the closest experience that I've ever seen to actually simulating what it's like to actually be on the wreck of the Titanic inside of a submersible. You really get that feeling, that claustrophobic feeling of being inside a submarine, especially when you look around the sub and you see all the computers and equipment around. That is really cool. The Titanic itself, the resolution isn't super sharp, but when it comes to VR, you need a really, really high-end headset to really, really get that sharp feeling. So for PlayStation VR, I think it looks great. And it isn't 100% accurate. I did notice that, and you can't access every inch of the ship, as we noticed with the first class dining room. But honestly, for what it is and what you pay for, I think it's pretty cool. And honestly, only a real big Titanic historian would notice the little details that I notice. That's just because I've studied the ship for as long as I have. Anyway, overall, I think it's a very, very cool experience, and I would recommend it. Just keep your expectations in check. If you're a diehard Titanic fan, you'll notice some inconsistencies and some problems. But yeah, for what it is, I would recommend it. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked it. This was a brand new thing that I'm trying on this channel, brand new experiment. So let me know what you all think down in the comments below. And if you're new here, please subscribe to my channel and please give my video a like. All right, everybody. Well, hey, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.